Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On a rainy day, a warm welcome to all of you. I am Indrani Malkani, Chairman of We Citizens Action Network. And on behalf of my organization, the Bureau of Indian Standards, that is BIS, the National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety, NFE, Savishkar India, and our resource partner and secretariat of Civil 20 India, Rambhau Malgi Prabodhani, in short RMP, extend an even warmer welcome to all of you here in the audience and to all our online participants. Many of you may have attended our last two sessions in October and November last year, 11th and 21 respectively, on fire prevention and what causes the fire. And what came about is that electrical issues, specifically electrical short circuits, are a leading cause of fire. And one of the main contributing factors to this issue is the overloading of electrical systems and of substandard material which are not certified by BIS. So we have collectively taken a step further and decided that rather than leaving all the checking to our fire departments and to our municipalities alone to monitor each and every property, what stops us as citizens and individuals to take charge of our own safety? So with that in mind, We Citizens Action Network and the Bureau of Indian Standards, in association with the National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety, Savishkar India, and our resource partner RMP, have joined to launch a campaign on ATMANIRBHAR SURAKSHA. Electrical safety is non-negotiable. This is the message that we have decided collectively to take forward in the coming days, and this journey includes each and every one of you. It is for our own safety, and there is no compromise on that. A little bit about all the organizations. We Citizens Action Network, its main objective as a societal organization is to establish linkage between the citizens and the government, the various departments of the government, of course, and enabling the public to be smart and safe citizens and consumers. End of the day, we are all consumers of either services or products. And we need to be well informed how to keep ourselves secured. Our organization is a registered, not-for-profit, non-political public trust, and it was set up precisely to address issues of public concern through effective channels like a web portal, which many of you know about, our interactive social sanchars, the one we are having just this evening, and action-impacted programs. Our focus areas include various angles of safety, which is fire, cyber, electrical, of course, road safety, waste management, electoral processes, among others. About the Bureau of Indian Standards, the BIS, in short, is the national standards body of India and develops and publishes Indian standards. BIS implements conformity assessment schemes, recognizes and runs laboratories for conformity assessment, implement hallmarking, and most importantly, work for consumer empowerment. I think that's the bottom line and the most crucial one for all of us to know. BIS also conducts capacity building programs on quality assurance and represents the country in ISO and IEC. I think in general, all of us are somehow, we only know about BIS because of hallmarking, but that's not it. There is so much more. And I think as the program, as we have our Deputy Director General, Mr. Sharma, speaking with us, we'll get to know a lot more. About Shavishkar India. Shavishkar India is governed by Vidyarthi Kalyan Nyas, VKN, Bhopal MP. It provides incubation platforms and internships to those who want to become entrepreneurs. Bringing out talent, the organization encourages your creative ideas, provides a healthy dialogue with industry, and for the technological sustainable development of India. I must here also mention that we have been privileged to have been onboarded on Startup 20 in the month of April, and this particular program, we are even more privileged to have been onboarded on Civil 20 India. And what makes it even more special is that the Secretariat of Civil 20 is also our resource partner. We look to doing many more programs on this platform. About Rambhao Malgi Prabodhani, in short RMP, I just started by sharing some few thoughts about the organization, is the C20 Secretariat. Responsibility has been given to this organization in India. It is registered as a society in 1982. RMP was initiated as a unique leadership development academy with an aim to nurture, impart training and capacity building of elected representatives, social workers, as well as people running institutions, organizations, and startups. We have with us their representatives, Shri Devendra Pai, who will address us in a short moment. So with this, I would also like to convey to all of you that due to an unavoidable circumstance, our chief guest, Shri Praveen Pardeshi, has been unable to join us as of now. But we also have with us all the other panelists and, of course, our special invitee, Shri Ajit Kumar Jain. I will speak about all the, you will all get to know about all the other speakers shortly. But before that, may I please also share our grateful thanks to our partners. We gratefully thank our venue partner who have consistently given this beautiful hall to conduct our social sanchars, and that's the Royal Bombay Yacht Club. Thank you, Mr. Vaswani, president of the club, who is with us this evening. Thank you so much. Our biggest strength lies with the Students' Council and all the students of our college partner, the Jai Hind College, Mumbai. Thank you, Jai Hind College. I'm absolutely delighted that the students have been our backbone, and the Student Council leads with the NSS, and they coordinate with all our colleges, other colleges. So thank you once again. Our warm thanks are also due to another organization which implements many of our programs, and that is the Citizens Association for Child Rights, CSCR. I thank our live streaming tech partner, Team One, our photographer, Mr. Abhishek Maiti, Team Technologian, which is based in Kolkata, for keeping our web portal going, Mr. Sumit Lula, my assistant and consultant, and our newly inducted Information and Communications Coordinator, Ms. Mansha Kohli. Ms. Mansha Kohli has been, actually she has led the Student Council of Jai Hind College some years back, and today she still remains connected to VCAN. So thank you, Mansha. Thank you. All your encouragement and participation for our social sanchar is actually our greatest motivation to carry this work forward. And we ask the Deputy Director General of BIS, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, to my left, to be with us today. And they have come specially only for this program. So I must say, we are so happy that they are here. And I look to having the longest possible association with you, Mr. Sharma, and BIS. I must also here acknowledge and gratefully thank one of my biggest pillars of strength, Shri Kanti More, who is with us. He's the national convener of Savishkar India. He's a PhD scholar at the Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. And apart from being the national convener of Savishkar India, he's also the member of the Alliance Task Force of the working group Startup 20. Before I introduce Shri Devendra Pai, Mr. More, would you like to share a few words about Savishkar India?
Good evening. Myself, Kranti Sagar. I am the national convener of Savishkar. Savishkar India is a pan-India initiative for the startups and innovation. So, what Savishkar is doing right now? Savishkar talent the hunt from the rural area and connect them with the incubation center. If you thought there are many of the incubation center there, but in your college, if there is no e-cell activities going on, no any center is there, then Savishkar work for you. So what kind of program we are doing? We conduct the different roundtable conference, we conduct the workshop, we conduct the internship and different training. So talk about the roundtable conferences. So we conducted the student startup innovation policies, the Bitcoin startup or blockchain startups. People and students are not aware about the upcoming technology like AI. So we focus on that. Apart from this, we also focus on innovation point of view. So I just want to give you the two examples. One is Shankar Abaji Bhise. I'm talking about the 1920s to 1935. He was the person who had invented the spirit useful for the printing technology. He's having 200 innovations. 40, out of that 40 was patented, but no one knows the innovation. Second example is G.D. Naidu, a wealth creator from the Coimbatore. Again, a Edison of India, we called. He had invented the dry electric vehicle in 1930s. You can imagine what we are seeing right now, we had already invented. So we hunt this kind of talent and come up to give the platform by the Savishkar India. So if you would like to join, you can follow us and meet me after this event. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. More. With great pleasure, may I now introduce Shri Devendra Pai. He started his career as an intern with the Asian Age before moving on to Yuva. This was followed by a stint with Member of Parliament Rajiv Chandrasekhar as political analyst. Later, Shri Pai donned the role of social entrepreneur by starting a company called ASMI Career Connect, which saw him interact with nearly 1 lakh students across Maharashtra. Shri Pai has co-authored a book on politics and governance in Tripura. For 3 years, he taught the social sciences to mass media students in Mumbai. He is on academic board of 3 courses across 3 universities. He is also the co-founder of VESIM LitFest, organized by Vivekananda Education Society's Institute of Management, Mumbai, and participates on news debates. At present, along with pursuing a PhD in political science, Shri Devendra Pai is the Chief Academic Officer at Rambhau Malgi Prabodhini, RMP, which is the Secretariat of Civil 20 and heads the postgraduate program in leadership, politics and governance as its course director at RMP's Indian Institute of Democratic Leadership, Mumbai. May I invite Shri Devendra Pai to please tell us about Civil 20 India. Thank you so much, Mr. Pai, for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to represent the Civil 20 or the G20 team here. Interestingly, I saw 3 names here. We Citizens Action Network, We Can, the organizers, the host. Jai Hind has its motto, I will and I can. So my organization Rambhav Mahalki Prabodhini, during the COVID outbreak, we had an initiative called as the India COVID Action Network, which summed up to I Can. So very interesting coincidence that I will, I can, we all are here. At the onset, all of us are aware about the G20 presidency which India is heading this year. The G20 becomes very prestigious because India heads a league of 20 countries which amount more than 75% of the global trade and the global economy. So that makes India a very significant player in this whole scenario. Over and above which, India is presiding over the G20. Presiding over the G20 means setting the agenda for discussion for these 20 eminent countries. Members of these countries will be coming to this country and having discussions on several issues and topics. Now, what is the G20? The G20 summit is going to be held in September, wherein for the first time in the history of this country, 20 heads of state or 20 heads of government will be visiting this country and will be sharing dais at one place at one time. This has never happened in the history of this country, that 20 heads of state or government have been together present at one place in this country. So this will be happening for the first time. Now, how does G20 work? How does G20 function? G20 has two official teams which are working, which are called as tracks. One is the finance track, which is the original track because G20 initially started as an economic forum to solve the economic crisis. Eventually, it was upgraded to a leader forum. So the first track is the finance track. Within finance track, there are 10 to 14 sub-themes or sub-tracks. For example, coping up with disaster is one sub-issue. Finance is one sub-issue. Coping up with corruption is one issue. Likewise, there is the Sherpa track. We all know who India's Sherpa is, right? Mr. Amitabh Kant. So, Amitabh Kant heads the Sherpa track. Now, Sherpa track is responsible for not just executing the G20 in this country, but also it has about 10 to 12 subtopics under it. For example, tourism is one subtopic. Now, beyond this, there are various ministry level meets. So, all the finance ministers are meeting, once or twice during India's G20 presidency in this country. Then, environment and forest ministers are meeting. There are urban development ministers, urban ministers which are meeting. So, such meetings at the minister level are also happening. Apart from this, there are, I think, 12 engagement groups. So, there is the business 20, there's the youth 20, there's the women's 20. Likewise, we represent the civil 20. Civil 20 stands for civil society 20. So it's an engagement group to engage civil society, which plays a very important role in governance and policy formation. So within Civil 20, we have 14 sub-tracks or subgroups. One of them is, disabilities. One of them is dealing with environment. One of them deals with human rights. One of the sub-issues is dealing with democracy. One of the sub-issues is dealing with gender issues. And within these subtopics, there are 10 or 12 different further subtopics. So, this is the vast spectrum of G20. So, there are about 300 or 400 G20 meetings happening all over this country, which means not necessarily it's the main G20 meeting happening, but perhaps it's one of the subgroups which is meeting. There have been several subgroups which met in Mumbai. The first G20 finance track meeting started from Mumbai. It was inaugurated at Taj, they visited BKC, and then they had an excursion at Borivali National Park. So within this 1 year, these subgroups are going to have a lot of discussions and deliberations. So all these subgroups, C20, Y20, they have an inception conference wherein the agenda for this presidency is set. The subgroups are introduced. Now within these subgroups, all of them will be having one particular conference. The Human Rights Conference happened at the Art of Living Ashram in Bangalore in April. That happened in Nalanda University in Bihar in June. At the Art of Living Ashram in April, we had the Democracy Conclave. So, apart from these conclaves, there are roundtable discussions, online deliberations with representatives of different countries, and the entire discussions, the minutes, they go out as a communique. The communique then goes as a part of the policy pack. The C20 gets the policy pack from all these subgroups, it compiles the policy pack, and the C20 secretariat sends the policy pack to the G20 secretariat. Eventually, when the G20 leaders meet for the summit, all these policy packs will be discussed and handed out. Now, the major difference between how the United Nations functions or the G20 functions is G20 functions with a consensus. There is no voting which happens. It's either everyone in it, or even if one person has an objection, we have an objection, and that line or that clause doesn't go inside. Couple of things which the Honorable Prime Minister wants to highlight as a part of India's G20 presidency is, one, he is trying to create a financial ecosystem which helps in rehabilitation after a disaster. So he's trying to create a financial body or an international bank which will fund disaster rehabilitation. Second, he is giving a lot of importance to the solar energy. So he's incorporating the Solar Energy Alliance in this. Third, he is trying to introduce a new concept called as LIFE, L-I-F-E. So the full form is Lifestyle for Environment. So today we are talking about carbon emissions, we are talking about cutting down CO2, we are talking all of this at a macro level, where we are asking the industries to cut down the CO2 emissions. The Prime Minister of this country feels that, of course, at the micro level, things will happen, but we should start cutting down emissions at the micro level, and it should begin with us. So lifestyle and for environment is a lifestyle which is suitable for the environment, which is eco-friendly, which doesn't harm environment, which perhaps includes not using plastic when not needed, using eco-friendly products wherever we can, etc., etc. So this is an opportunity for India to set forth the agenda for G20. And when we say G20, we are talking about 75% of world's economy. So I'm once again very happy to collaborate with VCAN and be present at this platform to represent the Civil 20 and the G20 Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pai. And I look forward to a lot more workings as we go along. May I now request my fellow trustee, Mr. V. Ranganathan. He was the former Municipal Commissioner of BMC and demoted office as the Chief Secretary of State of Maharashtra. He is my fellow trustee. So our panel is full, except that we will miss Mr. Pardeshi. We have with us, of course, the Deputy Director General of BIS, Mr. Rajiv Sharma. We have Mr. Ajit Kumar Jain, who is our big supporter and has been our motivator as well. He will give a special address right in the beginning. We have Mr. Gopa Kumar, the President of the NFE, who will be moderating the panel discussion. And we have the panelist, Mr. Warik, who is the Director of Maharashtra Fire Services. Thank you, Mr. Warik. And we have Mr. Hemant Sali, who is also part of, he's a founder member of NFE, as well as he is with Mr. Gopakumar as member of the BIS. Prior to that, I think he was also with the government of Maharashtra. Am I right, Mr. Sali? Yes? So I think we have a full house. Mr. Ranganathan, if you will please introduce Mr. Jain and the others, please.
I am privileged to introduce the eminent panel. And the purpose of today's social sanchar is not only to generate awareness and action among the citizens, but also highlight points for policy decision and implementation at the government level, both in the state as well as at the national level. We are fortunate to have as chief guest Mr. Ajit Kumar Jain, who is on my right. He was Additional Chief Secretary to the Government of Maharashtra and State Information Commissioner. He was appointed to head the Working Group on Fire Safety of the Government of Maharashtra, and presently he is Chairman and Managing Director of Environment Research Foundation. On my left is next to Mr. Indrani Malkani is Mr. Rajiv Sharma. He is Deputy Director General of Bureau of Indian Standards with over 33 years of experience in standardization. He is a trained lead auditor and registered technical assessor for various ISO standards. Now, further to the left is Mr. S. Gopakumar. He is president of the National Federation of Engineers for Electrical Safety. He is an electrical engineer and founder promoter of a number of companies, including Cape Electric Private Limited. He is also a member of various technical committees of Bureau of Indian Standards and of International Electrotechnical Commission. On the extreme right, I have Mr. Santosh Varik. He is the Chief Fire Officer of MIDC and Director, Maharashtra Fire Service. With 30 years of experience, he is a member of various committees of Bureau of Indian Standards on Fire and Life Safety. On the extreme left, we have Mr. Hemant Sari, Technical Advisor to the Ministry of Roads, Highways and Transport, Government of India for Mumbai region. With over 40 years of experience in the electrical wing of PWD Maharashtra, he is a member of several committees of Bureau of Indian Standards. With such an eminent group, we look forward to fruitful discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ranganathan. I would request Mr. Jain to please recap. You have been you've been associated with this particular issue since a long time, and we've been working together on this. What we started in October, followed by in November, and today we have embarked on ATMANIRBHAR SURAKSHA. So do give a background and take it forward. Mr. Jain, please.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Malkani. Mr. Ranganathan, our esteemed senior colleague in the service, the distinguished panel, all the experts and participants in the panel discussion today. I've got an opportunity for which I think I should thank Mr. Pardeshi to speak ahead of others. Initially, I was supposed to sum up the discussion, but since he couldn't be here, so I have that opportunity to speak and then set the context of the panel discussion today. It happened in 2019, post Kamla Mill fire accident, which was a major fire accident, that the government set up a working group on fire safety, and I happened to head that cell. And why I was picked up, perhaps because I had long back handled the fire department in the BMC for pretty long period, and I was associated with several innovations there. And during the course of the discussion and engagement, we engaged with Mr. Varik, we engaged with Government of India experts, fire experts and so on. It was a consensus that the root cause of fire accidents was in the electrical short circuits. And why did the electrical short circuits take place was largely due to A, poor workmanship, but largely due to substandard material, compounded with the tendency of all of us as a citizen to overload the electrical system without understanding the implications. Now, based on the detailed discussion, consultation, etc., we submitted a report to the government in 2020. Unfortunately, because of pandemic, it could not be taken forward much, though I kept on pressing this point every now and then with the Urban Development Department. Last year, I happened to be a member of the Good Governance Committee, which was set up by the present Honorable Chief Minister, and when I had an occasion to meet him, I emphasized the point that it is a need, a dire need, to have convergence between electrical and fire safety, or rather fire safety and electrical safety. And the convergence should not only be at the grassroots level, it should be at the top level also. So it's a governance issue, and I would like to include this in our recommendation on good governance. And he accepted this point and immediately asked his staff officers to work on our report. Some of the recommendations have been implemented, but many are still pending. Mr. Varik, as the Director of the State Services, is also kind of working on that. Now, last year we had 2 panel discussions. The first one was on fire safety, because 2 things have to be done. See, ultimately is the question of safety of the citizens. And we may be part of the government, or we may have been part of the government, but ultimately all of us are citizens. So A, the sufficient pressure has to be built on the government, or maybe support has to be given to the government agencies to be able to make amendments and change the system. And on the other hand, we have to create awareness among the citizens for their own safety. Because one common thread which comes is that it is largely the carelessness of the citizens which lead to at least the residential fires, I would say. Whether it is fire safety, whether it is electrical systems, people are quite careless or callous about it. So unless you take care of your own safety, ultimately it is your life, it is our life. If we leave it to the traffic constable to help us to cross the road, and if he is not there, will we just come under a vehicle? No, we will take our own precaution. So in the same way, we have to be careful on our own, but how to do it is an issue of, or is a matter of awareness creation. And in that context, the initiative taken by WeCan is extremely important. Now, as has already been pointed out, one of the major issues of electrical short circuit is the use of substandard material. We all know that there are detailed guidelines, standards set up by the Bureau of Indian Standards, many of which are part of the National Building Code as well, many of which have been incorporated in the development control rules. Many are still to be incorporated. But at least those which have been incorporated in the development control rules have to be followed strictly. But for people to do it, how, as a citizen, I understand whether I'm using the material which is marked or, kind of certified by the Bureau of Indian Standards. How should I distinguish between a genuine material and spurious material? This problem of duplicate manufacturing or duplicate substandard stuff is pretty common in the country. Even in Maharashtra, there are centers who come out with absolutely imitated material. So what can be done about it? And fortunately today we have the experts from the Bureau of Indian Standards who probably would be able to guide us, guide the citizens. All of us are citizens, I'm telling it again and again, how to really select right material, how to really select a right person to install the right system. So these are the issues that I think are very, very important in today's conversation. And our intention is that, as Mr. Ranganathan said, informally before the start of the event, that whatever comes out from the discussion should be summarized and taken to the government so that at least something will start happening side by side. So I think this is the context of the discussion, and we look forward to further discussion and interaction today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for setting the context of the panel discussion, and I'm sure giving the hint as to what questions likely to come now. I would now invite Mr. Gopakumar, who's the moderator of the panel discussion, to take over. But before that, may I please share, the formatting will be as, after the panel discussion, there will be a live demonstration, and that after the live demonstration, we will have a public interaction. So have all your questions ready. In the meantime, we have already received a whole lot of questions from the students of Jai Hind College, and would request all the phones, I think, to be switched off. In this, the number of questions that came have been handed over to Mr. Gopakumar to be taken up in the panel discussion and handed over to the respective speakers. There are some that we will all take charge of. So Mr. Gopakumar, will you please now take over and start the panel discussion? Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Thanks for organizing this beautiful event. In fact, the last program of WeCan, I was watching, I was not in India, but I was watching through YouTube, and only after that we were in touch, because I could see that this is a good move. I was also, or my organization, or NFE was also making a lot of efforts to make Bharat safe, electrically safe. We were conducting a lot of awareness programs and several activities. Anyway, today it is so far all our activities were with the engineers or engineers community, but we wanted to, this is a good step to take it further forward towards the citizens or to the common people. Actually, when it comes to electrical system, there are two subjects. First of all, everybody should understand it's an engineer's job. And second, there are two things. One is a product which we use in our installation. It has to meet certain quality requirements. Number two, once when we make wiring in your building, it has to have certain quality requirements like the selection, erection, testing and maintenance of these, the complete installation. If we make a mistake in one of these, means a wrong product or a wrong installation, let's say for example maintenance, it can lead to an accident. Mainly, you know very well, shock and the fire accident. Out of this, fire is the biggest culprit, especially in Mumbai. So we were also making some kind of small surveys in last 2 days, trying to find out what exactly the products which is used in Mumbai, and we got actually some very informative or very little bit shocking numbers. We will demonstrate it probably after 10-15 minutes. But before that, with respect to the activities of BIS, I have a question to Rajiv Sharma sir to start with. Sir, what makes the BIS mandatory, or how can we ensure safety if we follow BIS or BIS certified products, not only with respect to electrical but for overall? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gopaji. First of all, it's my privilege to be present here today to talk on a subject which is very important from the national perspective. I can see a number of youngsters in this group, so it's a very nice initiative. We have to inculcate this habit of safety, electrical safety in our day-to-day life.
I'm so sorry to interrupt Mr. Sharma, if you give me a moment. I think we have with us our Chief Fire Officer of Mumbai Fire Brigade, Mr. Ambulgekar. Please do come forward. Please come forward. Please come. Thank you. I am so sorry to have interrupted, but I must also take this opportunity that I believe we have with us Mr. Radhakrishna Pillai. Many of you will know about the corporate Chanakya. Mr. Pillai, where are you seated? Thank you very much for being with us. A little bit about him. He has researched Kautilya's Arthashastra extensively and has a master's degree in Sanskrit. He is the director of the International Institute of Leadership and Studies, University of Mumbai. But I think this evening he is here as our friend. Thank you, Mr. Pillai. I am so sorry, Mr. Sharma. The floor is all yours. Thank you.
So I'll start from where I left.
Yes, please.
See, I can see the youngsters, and it's a very nice initiative that we should start building up this habit of educating our youngsters to keep safety as the prime focus of their concerns. All the things we love and like run on electricity. Take a look around this room, the lighting, the video system, the comfort systems. Even now we are talking of electrical vehicles, the two-wheelers, the four-wheelers which will be running on the roads, all are running on electricity. So electricity has become indispensable in our lives today. That's why the power stations, hundreds of power stations in India, keep on working 24/7 to make sure that we get electricity in our houses. And just a few moments of interruption or outage of electrical current in our households makes us feel anxious. We can't live without electricity anymore. The electrical safety is non-negotiable. Is it really the case? Is it non-negotiable? Are we talking of some kind of a risk with electricity? It is present, we need it every day, we can't live without it, but still we have to talk about safety. Is there some kind of hazard associated with electricity? There is. I can tell you about it. If we accidentally touch any live part of the electrical circuit, it is going to cause some very serious problems. 2 milliamperes can really hurt if passes through the body. 8 milliamperes can cause real hurt, and about 30 milliamperes you can get serious damage, and about 50 milliamperes of current passing through the body can lead to difficulty in breathing. 150 milliamperes can cause the heart to stop, and about 300 milliamperes of current passing through the body can cause burning in the body. So that is the kind of damage or the hazard we are talking of when we talk of electricity. And we have to take all possible actions within our control to make sure that we don't come into contact accidentally, even accidentally we don't come into contact with a live electrical wiring. So, and of course there are other hazards associated. Electricity is always the cause of arcs, sparks, hot surfaces. So we have to take care of the protection against electric shock, the thermal hazards, because electricity, when it flows through the circuit, it causes heating and it causes the things to burn when they are in contact with electricity. And of course there are risks like has been said, short circuits, over voltages, electromagnetic compatibility, and so on. So these are all the various risks which are associated with electricity. And we know about all these risks, and we know how to prevent all these accidents to take place while using electricity. We have experts in India who deliberate on these issues of electrical risks, and we provide safe practices to make sure that nobody gets hurt because of electricity. I can share with you the data from the National Crimes Record Bureau. In a last decade, we lost 110,000 lives because of electrocution. That means around 11,000 lives in a year. That means around 30 lives in a day. And we fare very poorly compared to the other countries. Our track record has not been good. Short circuit, we come across the incidents of short circuit almost every day. My colleagues from the fire department will bear me out when I say that there is a news of short circuit fires almost every day in our newspapers, and a lot of damage causes to the human life and also to the property. So as electrical engineers, we can't allow this to continue for a long time. We have to provide solutions, and the solutions have to be workable. They have to be implemented through a well-organized mechanism. And another thing which I can say is that we are also participating in these standardization efforts at the international level. The International Electrotechnical Commission, not only India, but all the countries in the world who are members in the IEC, they participate and develop good practices and good specifications of the products, which must be put in place to make sure that we don't accidentally come into contact with the electrical accidents. We don't get that, we don't face that situation of electrical accidents. I'll talk of a few very important standards. The National Electrical Code, which has been published recently, about 5-6 months back. 2023 is the version. Along with that, there is a code of practice for wiring installations. Then there is a code of practice for earthing. And then we have number of other standards, talks about the tests which need to be done on the products to make them electrically safe when we use them in our households. So it is our responsibility. As a citizen, it is our responsibility to ensure that we use the right kind of products, because not only ours, our family members, even the young children in the houses, they don't know anything about electricity, but we have to make sure that everybody is safe. So that is the importance of standards. We have made those requirements which the product must fulfill in order to be put in the household, before it can be put in the household. Many of these products have been brought under mandatory certification by the Government of India. They should not be available in the market till they bear proper certification from the Bureau of Indian Standards. But of course, there are cases where we do observe there are certain violations of that, but it is our responsibility to primarily ensure that we buy the right product which is certified by BIS, and we follow the National Electrical Code and the associated documents when we do the electrical wiring in our houses. And yeah, if that answers your question, Mr. Gopal, yes.
Thank you, sir. See, the system is going in such a way that after oxygen, the electricity is the next thing. So we have made the standards in a very good way. We put a lot of efforts in making the standards to make the building safe from fire. I would like to ask my question to Santosh Varikji. Good evening, good afternoon, sir. So how free you will be, or your department will be free, if there is no fire accidents from electricity in Mumbai. Of course, now the statistics say 70-80%. If the standards are followed, not only in the installation, but the products as well, this can be brought down maybe to 10%, 20%. This is possible. Over to you, sir.
Internationally, if you see the developed world's record, it is hardly 8-10%, maybe US or European countries. But unfortunately, we are the developed country, and there are, as Jain sir already told us, Me Too products are so frequent over there. So we go for the compromises at every level. So what is the L1 that we compromise, and from the planning of any building itself, we go for the minimum ones. So if you see the capacity of transformer or the wires laid down from transformer to the low voltage meters and then to the high-rise buildings, so everywhere builder, developer, they go for the minimum ones, loading. But once the occupancy is received, then we put number of gadgets in our homes or in our office area or maybe any activity. So the entire load of that particular unit or residential flat goes haywire. And if you collectively see after 3-4 years, the entire wiring is compromised, and due to overloading, short circuit and Me Too products, it will fail, and it is a recipe for disaster, and fires normally starts due to this. So it is a true fact that means 80% of the cases we see the fire means electrical short circuit or overloading or false means Me Too products are the responsible for the electrical fires. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Actually, short circuit is not supposed to produce fire, because there is a protective device. There are fuses and circuit breakers on the circuit, and these devices are supposed to trip within certain time. But most of the time, if the device, I have investigated several fire accidents. Most of the time, 50-60% cases, these devices are very strong. It has no idea to trip. This is the situation. Naturally, the electricity creates fire. So now, over to you, Sally ji. How do we take up this message? Say, for example, a very simple thing. There is a protective device. Why it is not tripping? Finally, the question the owner of the building should ask to the electrician or to the authority. I have spent money for this device and it's not tripping. Why? How do we take up this?
Well, as it is said, it is the electrical engineering part, and designing is the basic part of any electrical wiring. If design is not done properly, then this is sure it's going to happen today or some days later. Suppose if your wire is supposed to carry some certain amount of current, suppose it is 10 amperes current it can carry, and if you install a MCB tripping device which has capacity to trip at 16 amperes, it will never trip. So it is the basic fault of the design, the person who makes the electrical design. It is very important that not only the electrical wire which he uses, but the insulation part of that wire is also very important. What kind of insulation he is going to use on that wire. So all these things become a part of electrical design, where we see lot of lapses are occurring at present. And unless we do something about that, the design part of this, it is something like foundation on which you build the building. So if the foundation is not correct, then everything is going to collapse today or some days later.
Yes, thank you. Actually, the work should start from the design onwards, but I would like to make a small statement that I have seen, I am also working as a consultant. I am seeing a lot of design documents, reviewing design documents, lot of documents. In New Bombay side, I think you have maybe 50-100 data centers. Each one is big data center, each one consuming several megawatts of power. Out of these 100, let's say for example, only 1 or 2 is complying to the National Electrical Code. That means almost 98% is not in compliance to the National Electrical Code. So you can expect a fire. So we have actually made a small demonstration. Can we go to the demonstration?
Yes, I think that's the showstopper, if I may say. Yeah. We need to see for ourselves as to what happens when we don't choose the right thing, and what happens, how to identify the right things. So I think we'll have the live demonstration. Would you like to bring the table forward here? So our, yes, please. In the meantime, I must say our Mumbai Fire Brigade, not so close, it's in front of the thing. Yes, yes, please. Thank you.
We also have a small presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
The presentation is correlated to the live demonstration. And I'm so delighted that our Mumbai Fire Brigade senior officials led by our fire chief has joined us. So I think let's make a good beginning. Shall we have the demo now? Mr. Gopakumar?
First I will go through the presentation,
yes,
so
please,
that people get an idea.
Yes.
Then we show you what exactly it is.
Yes, please.
So basically, we start with a very simple thing which we use in our house, which is nothing but a simple plug, and I'm sure you can see that on the screen. This is an Indian socket and an Indian plug. So generally, the plug is, technically we call as fixed installation. It's fixed on the house. Then we plug in some equipment into this particular socket. So pluggable equipment and fixed wiring. So there is an Indian standard, and the plug and the socket must be compatible. This is very much required. This is how the Indian socket looks like. There are two types of Indian socket for domestic and official purpose. One is the 16 amperes and the 6 amperes. These are the two plugs and these are the two sockets. This is from the latest, the IS standard, IS 1293. The plug and socket which is sold in the market are supposed to be having as per this particular standard and certified. Now, one issue which we see, especially in Mumbai, I don't know, not much in the other places, are non-standard plug and socket. For example, on the left side what you are seeing, this one is the British socket and British plug, which is used in Britain, not for India. The second one, you are seeing, this is called as the European Shuko. The technical name is Shuko. Shuko plug, Shuko socket. Basically, this is a plug and socket which is used for house and other application, office purposes in Germany, France, and the northern European nations. So basically, these two are not incompatible to Indian requirement. Every nation have got their own standard. American plug and socket is little bit different. Japanese is different. Each of the nation is different. Now the problem which we are seeing is, for example, you see this one. This is a heater. It's a 1500 watt equipment, and there is no ISI mark. And a 1500 watts electrical appliance ideally should have a 16 amps plug, whereas this one is coming with a 5 amps plug. 5 amps plug is suitable for up to 1000 watts application. The second case, this is an iron box. It's an ISI marked product. Here again, the wattage is 2000 watts, but the plug is 5 amps. Of course, if you put it into the circuit and if you forget to switch off the switch of the power, then after half an hour or after 1 hour, you will get the fire. You don't need any other reason. Now this one, these are the appliances which is sold in the big showrooms in Mumbai. The first one, Wonder Chef, you can see, you can go to all of these home center in Mumbai. This is this item. You see, look at the plug. It's a German plug. The problem is, German plug and Indian socket, sometimes the sizes are almost similar. It looks like we will see a person who doesn't know, he think that okay, it is same, and we try to put it inside. If we apply a little bit force, it goes inside. But if you try to take it out 2 times, then the third time the whole thing will come out, just like the plug on that wall. You see, it is a result of that, you took the plug out, the socket
Mr.
also
Vaswani,
comes out.
You have been pointed out.
So actually, it's a daily problem which we face in our house. So this is technically no nation will allow this. Every national authority, maybe the standards organization or for example, these probably these products are imported from some nation. Normally, at the customs, these are stopped. And these are not, import is not allowed into the nation. Example, Sri Lanka, which is very small, tiny country. You cannot import all these items with different switches and sockets into Sri Lanka. It has to be strictly Sri Lankan compatible plug, then only they can import. So similar is the situation. You see this, this is a kettle. In almost all the application, especially this water kettle, is coming with this Shuko plug, and we try to put it into the Indian socket. And the next one, Argo, this is I bought it for my house a few weeks, I think 2 weeks back. This is a a cooker, a rice cooker. Again, it came with the German plug. What happens is, the German plug, there is no earth connection. We say for shock protection, there is an earth connection. If you put this into the socket, there is no earth connection. What will happen is, if it becomes faulty, the person who is touching will, for clear, he will die if there is no residual current protection. So these are really dangerous. Also, you can see here the other non-standard, the multi-plug, which we use almost everywhere in our house. Because you know why? Because we don't have any standard plug. We have different, each item has got a different plug, so we buy a multi-pin socket and try to use it. This is actually electrical, we can say electrical disaster. Similarly, extension cords. Typically, extension cords are supposed to have the rubberized wire, and there shall be a thermal disconnector, because once when the heat is more, it is supposed to disconnect. So most of the spike guards are not having such things, and you know very well, all of us use this extension cord extensively in our house. Here the mistake is the plug is 6 amps and the socket is 16 amps. So somebody putting a 16 amps into this will end up with fire. This was yesterday in the Viviana Mall in Thana. You see here, there is a plug, only 2 wires. We have to ask, where is the third wire? There should be 3 wires. People, those who are sitting on those metallic chair with metallic, the frame, if something happens, it would be really a disaster. Children are going and sitting above this flower pot. So basically, this is a kind of a cultural improvement which we are supposed to do. It has to start from the schools, from the institutions, and we have to educate people to use electricity safely. Now we have some of the items to demonstrate. Yeah.
We'll just give the mic to you, Mrs. Bhatnagar. Chris, will you please? Mrs. Bhatnagar is the head of the Electrotechnical Department of BIS.
Bureau of
Yes,
Indian
ma'am.
Standards. And my department in Bureau of Indian Standards is engaged in bringing out developing standards on the various fields of electrical engineering. We cover all the aspects of electrical engineering, and we have 44 sectional committees. Each sectional committee deals with a particular aspect of the electrical engineering. Gopal Kumarji had showed you some plugs and sockets and some appliances which are coming with the plugs of foreign make, not of India. Let me just briefly tell you IS 1293 about which he was talking. IS 1293 covers plugs and sockets. It's a combination because the dimensions have to be compatible to each other. So this standard was first brought out in 1956, way back in 1956. It came out. It had various versions. It had been revised several times, and the latest one is 2019 version, which is currently in force. It was under voluntary certification. Like manufacturers can come for certification, otherwise it was not compulsory from the government side to obtain a license for marking this product. So you can see that there were so many different types of sockets, different types of plugs which are available in the market. A result of this, because nobody came forward, we have licenses, but very few licenses throughout the country compared to the amount of this plug, this material available in the market. Now recently only government has brought this standard under mandatory certification 1293, and it was brought about 2-3 years back. Many times the manufacturers became active all of a sudden. So far they were not interested in this standard, they were not interested in the dimensions. They used to do whatever they want to do, they used to do that. But once the government made it mandatory, it now became binding that they have to follow the standard. which means they can only manufacture those plugs and sockets which are complying with IS 1293. Apart from that, any other variety should be out of the market. It cannot be sold in the market, it cannot be manufactured in India, it cannot be imported from outside, nothing can be done. So after there was a lot of protest in our committees, the manufacturers came forward, this standard has this problem, this standard has that problem, this cannot be implemented, that cannot. You won't believe we faced so many problems once the government made it mandatory. We told them, so far you people were sleeping. You see, this standard is in force since 1956. And if there were problems in the standard, you could have come up earlier also. Now you people are coming up with these objections. Though we cleared so many of things, finally the implementation of this mandatory certification was postponed many times. And from 1st June 2022, this has been made mandatory. It is more than a year now. But still, we are finding such sockets and plugs as users. You see, you people are the users of this product. Everybody uses a plug and socket at their home. Everybody. Everybody uses appliances in their home. Please don't buy. Just now, Mr. Gopakumar has shown you what is correct and what is not correct. So don't buy. When you go to the market, when you see such type of sockets with the flat pin and so many shapes and all that, don't buy. Only the round shape. That's it, and the round plugs. You should not buy any other plug, any other socket. Don't buy that appliance which is carrying such a plug which is not of Indian make. Don't buy. If you stop doing this, this is the correct one. You see, demonstration. Apart from this, if you see any other plug with any appliance, don't buy it. It is very important that only you people can enforce such things. Don't expect the manufacturers to do it. Of course, we are the enforcing authorities. We have now started conducting raids, and we have started seizing such products which are not as per the standard. We are doing that. But then, how much can we do? You see, it is you people. If you stop buying such things, they will stop coming into the market. And secondly, one more thing, another initiative by the government, all the appliances, such type of appliances, they are being brought under mandatory certification. All of them. Irrespective, wo kya hai, kya nahi hai, irrespective of that, all the appliances are being brought under mandatory certification for safety. For safety only, not for performance, but then safety is the major concern. So they are being brought under mandatory certification. Draft quality control order is already under preparation. Discussions are going on. Very soon they will come. They will take some time to implement. It may take a year, maybe 6 months to come, then a year to implement. We have to give, because already protests have started coming up with the manufacturers, we can't do it. But it will be done. So that will prevent such appliances which have non-standard plugs. But till such time, you people have to take the initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bhatnagar. I think we'll carry on with the rest of the demo, but I think you just reiterated about our theme, ATMANIRBHAR SURAKSHA. If we don't safety is in our hands, end of the day. Mr. Gopakumar, would you introduce Krish? Yeah. It would be nice.
We have our young engineer, Mr. Krish Theobald. He studied in UK and he has got a lot of experience in he is only 21 years old, but he has got experience of maybe more than equal to the experience of several decades. So since he is trained in, since he worked in UK and India, he knows about the different systems practiced in those countries. I invite him to make a small demonstration. Krish, over to you.
Hello. Yeah. So just to get started, there are various types of wires available in the market. So every wires are under mandatory certification under IS 694. So if you look on the wire, there will be a ISI marking and a CML number. Now, if you buy a non-standard wire, sometimes you cannot see it here. It will be available for viewing later. There will be an IS number. There will be no ISI marking and there will be no CML number. So immediately that's a fake. Then you can go to the market and ask for wires, and sometimes they give you these kind of wires which are ISI marked and have a CML number. But when you go on the BIS Care app and you put the CML number, either you will say it will show you that the CML number doesn't exist, or it will correspond to a completely different brand. Now there are three different samples and specimens we have here. One is a wire that we bought today I went to the store and I said, give me the cheapest wire you have. So this is that. This is wire from one manufacturer. This is called a class 5 wire. The strands are fine stranded. And this is class 2 cable, 2 wire. This is where the strands are just stranded. This is what we should be using in our homes. All these wires have a manufacturing standard IS 694, and these prescribe certain resistance values, which means they oppose the flow of current in a certain manner. These are 90-meter coils. When we measure these, and I'm going to measure these for you right now, this wire should have a resistance of 1.2 ohms. This wire should also have a resistance of 1.2 ohms. And this wire should have a resistance of 1.1 ohms. So I'll just start the demonstration here. So we'll measure first this cable. Like I said, we should get 1.2 ohms. Sorry, this should 1.2, and this is 1.2, and this is 1.1. This should also be 1.2, but let's see what we get. So I'll just show you for the camera here.
Please do a close-up to the video, please, so that everyone can later on see the video also and see it up close.
So you're getting about 1.27, which is fine given the accuracy of the instrument. Now we will plug onto the cheapo wire, and just so you know, when we verified the CML number, we got a completely different brand name, so I'm fairly certain this is fake. Oh, by the way, they're all the exact same specification otherwise. So now let's see 2.26. So immediately you'll realize that this wire has double the resistance of this wire, even though they are marketed and packaged as being the exact same thing with the exact same product standard. So immediately, if I had the space, I would throw this into a bin. Now, this is what we actually should be using. So I'll just test this right here. Okay, and we could have a close-up, please. 1.14. So again, it's lower than this because the kind of wire is different. So this is what we really should be using. So that is it with regards to wires.
Yeah, may I add up a little bit? Yeah, may I add up a little bit here? You have seen 3 kind of wires. One is duplicate, or we say, this anyway we have to throw it out, we cannot use, because the heat produced inside the conduit will be double. So once when the heat is more, then of course the chance of fire is more. Out of these 2 good wires which Krish told, we are supposed to use the red color one, which is having the less resistance. But 99% of the buildings in Mumbai, including the high-rise buildings, are made with the other wire. The wire with a higher resistance, class 5 wire. Class 5 wire is not supposed to be used in the fixed wiring or inside conduits, but unfortunately we use this wire, and this has become, standards are there for both the wires, because the class 5 wire is also required for some application, not for the house wiring, but people use it. So this is one. Can you show the British socket and the Shuko plug?
So
when you are mentioning this, can we not make the ISI standards mandatory and prohibit the manufacture of substandard material? Why can't it be made mandatory?
It is there, sir.
No, if it is mandatory standard, others cannot be produced, then you must start taking action against people who, if you say 99% are
it is not like that. There are 2 applications. One we call as fixed application, next one is flexible application. Flexible application means cord outlet, panel board wiring. So one is for the house wiring and the other one is for example, the panel board wiring. So panel board wiring is a little bit cheaper. So contractors, instead of using the correct wire, they go for the cheap wire. So standard cannot ban one of the wire because that is also required but for a totally different application. So here the person who is selecting the wire, he has to select the right one. Standards cannot stop or do something. Also, you have seen the third wire, which was totally a duplicate wire. We say duplicate in the sense it is having on the marking, it has got ISI mark, it has got CML number, everything looks similar, very good, but the amount of copper inside is less, so cost is less. Heat is more,
then in
fire
that
is
case,
ISI also laid down standards for electrical fittings in buildings. So these standards, they are mandatory. If any building the such substandard wire is used, they should be liable for prosecution.
Very true.
Yes.
I think that brings us
So
to the
this-
question of
this
electrical
question-
auditors.
This question, Saliji will answer.
Okay, see, there are electricity laws, electricity law 2003. As per this law, section 146 tells that what is punishable. So if you are not following the regulations, it becomes punishable under section 146. And regulations so far up to May 2023, those were telling that the standards, electrical standards and codes may be followed. So one major change has occurred recently in last month only. Now that may word has been changed to shall be followed. So this shall has made everything mandatory, and if there is anything contravention or any irregularity with the already set up standard, that will be going to be punishable henceforth. So that is for sure. This major change has occurred. One more thing which is happening is that there are certain procedures which in other countries are following. They are taking certifications of three things. So one certification is for design, second certification is for construction, and third is for the testing of electrical installation. So these are three different parts. The person who designs electrical installations, many times he doesn't construct. The person who constructs, he doesn't make, not necessarily he will make the design. And the testing should be always the third person who should test the installation which has been carried out by the first two persons. So far these procedures are not being followed, and like Mr. Rangarajan said, it is now going to be punishable, but of course it is going to take some time because recently this change has occurred.
Thank you, Mr. Sali. I think what we were discussing, that unless we make all this very public, to the citizens in a very strong way, people will not know these things. And unless you know about it, you will not be, looking for the wrongdoings, basically. But one small thing, Mr. Kupakumar, whilst you talked about the wire before you go to the next one, I'm sure many will be wondering that how would you identify, if one looks, of course, we do have a lot of jugaad happening in our country, there's no doubt about that. But how would you differentiate if every marking is the same? Then which is the way to differentiate since the two were shown?
Yeah, actually there is a standard called as Code of Practice of Wiring, 1989, IS 732, which is revised in 2019. After making the installation, the first test which has to be done is to measure the resistance of this wire. So it is there already in the code, but what happened is this code was, until recent time, this code was not mandatory and nobody was following it properly. Now, as Rajiv sir told, we have, BAS had published the National Electrical Code as well. The same data from 1989, it is republished in 2019, also in the National Electrical Code. After wiring or after pulling the wire through the pipe, and after making the joints, the first job of the electrician is to test with this device. The question is, how can we equip the electrician to do it? How can we make this awareness to the electrician, and how will you do, how will he does it? Or the other question is, will he really do it? So that means how to monitor. This is a question which I am unable to answer. We have to make, all of us together should discuss and we have to decide on it.
I think we can take that in the next step. Let's see the other
yes.
Is
it possible for the presentation?
Yes, we go back to the presentation to show the socket, is it?
Yes. Yeah. Now we have, see this device, in most of our houses, we have this device which is called as MCB. Normally, this is, we have a line neutral. Once when the current is more than certain current, certain amperes, so this device is supposed to trip. If the device is not tripping, then you will end up with a trouble. You will end up with a fault. Why the device is not tripping? There are several reasons. One is it may not be rated properly. Maybe a very high rated device is used. Most of the time, no maintenance. For example, most of the meter boards in multi-storied buildings are in open condition. the entire dust and other things goes into these devices. So the technically we call as ingress protection, means dust and vermin proof. Those things are compromised. So even if you use a proper device, it may not trip because dust goes inside. So you have to select the proper device and you have to use it properly. Now, this is one device. The first one is for overcurrent or short circuit we call technically. The second one is called as RCD, which we call as, earlier we were calling it as earth leakage protection. The new name is RCD, residual current. That means if anything leak out from the circuit, this device should trip, and if the limit is more than certain level, it trips. Ideally, every house should have a combination of these two things, which is called as RCBO. RCBO. Ideally, every house should have this particular device, so that, and properly rated, properly maintained, so that if something happens, this device is going to trip. As a result, we can reduce lot of accidents, especially in houses. You can show that particular
I have the compact RCBO here. Yes. So as you can see, in the space of one protective device, you have both protective functions. So every outgoing circuit should ideally have one of these protective devices. And see, this is the RCD and this is the MCB. Should I talk about the sockets?
Yeah.
AFDD?
No, this socket.
Okay. So this is the Indian plug, as you can see here. Could we have a close-up, please? Thank you. And this is the Shuko or the European plug. What you will notice is that the third pin here is protruding in the Indian plug and it is inset in the European plug. But the two round pins have similar dimensions. The risk is when you have an appliance, this is actually from a cooking appliance that was bought by my parents. I then cut it and took it out. So the risk is in an Indian plug, in an Indian socket, this kind of plug can easily plug in. But you have no contact with the third pin, which is your earth pin, which is where any fault current has to flow through. If you see, the European plug is completely different. This looks like nothing you've seen in your homes. And this has a small metal piece here where the earth contact actually sits. So now you have earth continuity. So that's a major risk there. Then obviously you have the British plug, which is an entirely different system. Again, perfectly good if used with the corresponding socket outlet, but we don't have these sockets in India. We have IS1293 sockets. So you need a corresponding socket, just like the ones in this room. The point being that you don't get appliances with these that easily. So, yeah.
So the situation is not really good. So I'm sure if we make a survey, all India survey of different cities with how many, the number of appliances with non-standard plugs and these kind of wires which is sold, probably I think Mumbai leads. So how to stop it?
That is not very comforting. Maximum city for maximum problems, not a good idea. But I think we get the message, and yes, we can, yes, we'll come to questions in a moment. So what we are finding is that there is really so much to do. I don't even know where to start from, but perhaps first make ourselves, or rather our homes, secure in some of the ways. I think we have our work cut out. Mr. Gopakumar, Mr. Sharma, and ourselves. I think we have our work cut out. Is the demonstration over? Do we take it over?
It's over.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Just once. Yes, Mr. Chair.
What about these adapters? We all keep traveling from here to Europe or Europe to India, and there is a concept of adapter plugs or whatever you call.
Yes.
How does that work?
May I answer that question with the permission of the panel? Actually, these should not be used. So I'll give you an example. So what you should be using is, these are called IEC connectors. Okay, let's say you take a laptop. Every laptop has a brick, like a power brick, and there are these connectors on the other end. What we do is, if we have say an Indian one, we take this with us, we put it into an adapter and put it in there. That is completely wrong. What you should do is buy this. Exact same thing, it plugs into the power brick and it connects to the correct socket. The issue is, say if your question is, when we go abroad, we should buy the correct cord with the correct plug. We should absolutely not use adapters because there is no manufacturing standard for them. There is no testing for them. There is no, private labs may test these individually, but there's no IS standard for it. It's being developed, but currently there is no IS standard right now. So the point is, we don't have any way of knowing whether these will actually work or not. That is a big danger there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
But there'll be so many questions, I'm sure, coming through, so it'll carry on. Should we go to the question-answer session now for a short while? Many of the questions which had come to us has already been addressed by the speakers because I had on past it, the ones that came to us earlier. Let's take one of the audience questions, then we will go to online. Yes, you had raised your hand. Can we have the mic there, please? Here. Okay, after there, if you would please send it this side.
Sure.
Yes, please.
For all the panelists here, I am sad to say that you have to take a walk in Lohar Chal and see the amount of Chinese rubbish that is being sold. There is no standard for them. And we import all these things merrily, sell them, use them. Where is the enforcement of all these standards when it comes to Chinese goods? And mind you, they're taking a lot of your money there. What is being done about the enforcements of all these standards that were spoken about on those goods? They also do catch fire.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Would you like to address the question, please?
Yeah, the products which are mandatory, as was said, that number of products have been made mandatory. There's a list of about 400 quality control orders, they have been made mandatory. So for those products, the import is not permitted till the product has a certification mark on it. But if the product is not on the list of mandatory certification, those products still continue to be imported into the country. As Ms. Preeti Bhatnagar just told, that a new quality control order is already in the draft stage, where every product which runs on electricity, any household item which runs on electricity, is going to be brought under the mandatory quality control regime of the Government of India. That means any product which runs on electricity will necessarily have to bear a BIS certification mark. That is how the problem is being solved at the government level. Of course, there are cases of violations and contraventions, but we have to safeguard ourselves from that, because markets, there are unscrupulous elements. We can't take care of 100% all of them. We have to partially ensure that we take the safe products from the market. We are trying our best from the Bureau of Indian Standards. Government is also trying their best. But there is a demand for those products in the country, and unscrupulous elements, they continue to do these kind of malpractices. So our safety is in our hand. We have to take control of it. Government is expanding the ambit of quality control orders. More such products will be brought under mandatory certification, but it is going to take some time.
May I please just add, what the question elicited is just reinforcing what we just said, ATMANIRBHAR SURAKSHA. I go back to it because ultimately, if we don't, because as a societal organization, I'm saying this, that unless we make that moral compass our, shining light, we are never going to be able to get out of this vicious circle. Why do we have to compromise to buy a product which is not ISI certified? Or why are we buying Chinese products, period? It is in the market, no doubt about that. But we do have a choice. Are we exercising our choice in the correct way? Are we exercising our choice in the moral way and ethical way for our own safety? Forget about anybody else. We put ourselves at risk when we compromise on ethics in this matter altogether. So I just wanted to share this because I do feel very strongly about it, and I think we really have to take a call now on this. Yes, Mr. Anand, I think you wanted to share a point.
I just want to add what Ms. Malkhani has just said. As a consumer, we can make all those products mandatory. Like even if there's some product is not under mandatory certification, you can ask for that ISI mark. Mr. Chris has just showed you a demonstration that this is this standard quality of wire is there, but as a consumer you do not have, maybe you do not have this machine with you. So what you can do is you can ask for an ISI mark, and to verify whether this is a correct ISI mark or not, there is one BIS Care app. All of you can download that app, and in that you can check CML number is written. You can write a CML number, and the details of the license will come up. So we have a small video, if we
Yes.
can demonstrate.
Have you given that video, Mr.? Okay. Can you please, and we would request every citizen, every consumer, end of the day, we use all these products. So please download the app and use it. Just today, I was seeing on Twitter, on the BSI handle, that you had mentioned about the app and that there will be prosecution and that you can take it up. Let's make that pledge to ourselves, please. Mr. Sharma, would you like to?
May I request everybody to kindly go to the Google Web Store and look for this app and download it right now if it is possible for you.
Hey, where did my...
It's very simple. You can download.
गुड मॉर्निंग और नमस्कार। सबसे पहले तो समस्त BIS परिवार की ओर से मैं आपको धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि आपने मानकों और गुणवत्ता के विषय में चर्चा के लिए आज समय निकाला। इसके पहले कि हमारे मानक मित्र आपके साथ बातचीत शुरू करें, मैं कुछ महत्वपूर्ण जानकारियां आपके साथ साझा करना चाहता हूं।
चलिए तो फिर बात मानकों से शुरू करते हैं। एक उत्पाद या सेवा उपभोक्ताओं के लिए पूर्णतः सुरक्षित हो और उससे उनकी जो उचित अपेक्षाएं हों उनके ऊपर पूरी तरह खरे उतरते हुए काम करे। ये सुनिश्चित करने के लिए मानक, उसकी निर्माण विधि और गुणवत्ता की जांच की प्रक्रिया, इन सभी के संबंध में आवश्यक मानदंड निर्धारित करते हैं। इसका अभिप्राय ये हुआ कि अगर कोई उत्पाद BIS द्वारा निर्धारित मानक के अनुसार बना है तो एक आम उपभोक्ता आश्वस्त हो सकता है कि उसकी गुणवत्ता निस्संदेह है। अब ये देखना रोचक होगा कि मानकों का दायरा कितना व्यापक है। तो हम इस घर में और आसपास नजर डालते हैं। फर्नीचर, AC, फ्रिज, इलेक्ट्रिक आयरन, पंखे, टीवी, कंप्यूटर, ईंट, सीमेंट, स्टील पाइप, कंक्रीट, सरिया, PVC पाइप, पेंट, प्लाईवुड, स्विच, सॉकेट, कांच, स्टील शीट, साबुन, डिटर्जेंट, कमोड, वॉश बेसिन, मोबाइल फोन, हेलमेट, मास्क, सिलेंडर, गैस स्टोव, प्रेशर कुकर, स्टील के बर्तन, एल्यूमिनियम के बर्तन, पानी, दूध, पनीर, घी और शहद। ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं दिखा जिसके लिए BIS ने मानक नहीं बनाए हों। तो कोई वजह दिखती है कि हम बतौर उपभोक्ता ये अपेक्षा न रखें, बाजार में जो भी उत्पाद उपलब्ध हों मानकों के अनुसार बने होने चाहिए। जहां एक महत्वपूर्ण सवाल खड़ा हो जाता है कि एक आम उपभोक्ता को पता कैसे चले कि किसी उत्पाद के लिए मानक है या नहीं। ये काम हमने आपके लिए बहुत आसान कर दिया है। BIS की वेबसाइट पर जाएं, ऊपर वाले क्षैतिज बार में नो योर स्टैंडर्ड्स लिखा दिखेगा। सिलेक्ट करें। चूंकि आपको मानक का नंबर नहीं मालूम है, उत्पाद के नाम वाला विकल्प क्लिक करें और उत्पाद का नाम लिख दें। उससे संबंधित मानकों की पूरी सूची आ जाएगी। और नो योर स्टैंडर्ड्स आपके मोबाइल फोन पर BIS केयर ऐप के जरिए भी उपलब्ध है। हमारे मानक मित्र आपको वेबसाइट और ऐप का डेमो देंगे। अब आगे बढ़ते हैं। दोस्तों, हमने देख लिया कि एक उत्पाद के लिए मानक है, पर यह कैसे पता चले कि वो उस मानक के अनुसार बना है? ये भी बहुत आसान है। जो उत्पाद मानक के अनुसार बना हो और इस हेतु प्रमाणित हो, अगर वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक उत्पाद है तो उस पर CRS चिन्ह, और कोई अन्य उत्पाद हो तो उसके ऊपर ISI चिन्ह लगा होगा और उस चिन्ह के नीचे CML नंबर भी लिखा होगा। अब आप कहेंगे ये चिन्ह तो कोई भी लगा सकता है, CML नंबर भी लिख देगा। तो जरा मुझे कहने दें कि अगर ऐसा करेगा तो पकड़ा जाएगा। कैसे? फिर BIS केयर ऐप की ओर मुड़ते हैं। इसके मेन पेज पर कई फीचर्स हैं। घर में पानी की कोई बोतल हो तो उस पर अंकित CML नंबर को वेरीफाई लाइसेंस डिटेल्स फीचर सिलेक्ट करने के बाद टाइप कर दें। अगर ये नंबर फर्जी नहीं है तो सबमिट दबाते ही BIS लाइसेंस का पूरा ब्यौरा आपके स्क्रीन पर होगा। अगर ये नंबर फर्जी हुआ तो ऐप आपको बता देगा कि इस तरह का लाइसेंस नहीं दिया गया। मानक मित्र आपको एक सही और फर्जी नंबर डालकर भी दिखाएंगे। अगर आप कोई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक उत्पाद खरीद रहे हो तो ऐप पर वेरीफाई R नंबर अंडर CRS फीचर सिलेक्ट कर रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर टाइप कर उसकी सत्यता की जांच कर लें। एक और चीज है जिसे खरीदते समय आप उसकी गुणवत्ता को लेकर बहुत चिंतित रहते हैं। जी हाँ, सोने के आभूषण। जब भी कोई आभूषण खरीदें उसके ऊपर लिखा हॉलमार्क एवं HUID जरूर देख लें। BIS केयर ऐप की स्क्रीन पर वेरीफाई HUID को सिलेक्ट कर लें। निर्धारित स्थान पर HUID टाइप कर दें। अगर वो फर्जी नहीं हुआ तो आभूषण का ब्यौरा स्क्रीन पर आ जाएगा। एक और अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी, भारत सरकार ने लगभग 450 उत्पादों के लिए BIS का सर्टिफिकेशन अनिवार्य कर दिया है। तात्पर्य यह है कि इन उत्पादों का आयात, उत्पादन, भंडारण या विक्रय BIS का लाइसेंस लिए बिना और इन उत्पादों पर BIS का क्वालिटी मार्क अंकित किए बिना किया ही नहीं जा सकता। आपके लिए इन उत्पादों के बारे में जानना बहुत जरूरी है। तो क्या इन सभी उत्पादों की सूची याद रखनी होगी? कतई नहीं। इन उत्पादों की सूची आप BIS की वेबसाइट और BIS केयर ऐप दोनों पर ही देख सकते हैं। अंत में ये जान लें कि कोई उत्पाद अनिवार्य सर्टिफिकेशन की सूची में है पर क्वालिटी मार्क और CML नंबर का उल्लेख हुए बिना ही बिक रहा है, या किसी उत्पाद पर फर्जी क्वालिटी मार्क और CML नंबर दर्ज है, या आपको किसी उत्पाद की गुणवत्ता के संबंध में कोई शिकायत है, तो आप BIS केयर ऐप के माध्यम से अपनी शिकायत दर्ज कर सकते हैं।
अब मैं मानक मित्र और आपके बीच से हटने की अनुमति चाहता हूं। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Mr. Anand.
Even if you encounter some fake product in the market, you can take the picture of that product and fill some basic detail, and you can submit your complaint through this BIS Care app. So I request all of you to start using BIS Care app. It will help us to make our country safe. Thank you.
And I think make our fire department's job a little bit more easier and not have so many fires. Yes, I think there's a mic at the back. Oh, you've got it? Yes, please.
Yeah, my name is Rajan Jaikar. I'm a trustee of this particular organization.
Bring it closer.
Yeah. As a lawyer, I think that if ISI mark is so important, why not this be made compulsory in every consumer sale shop, telling virtually like we have for a restaurant, you have a license. So every shop should be made, there should be a board compulsorily that only ISI product should be bought.
I think that suggestion can well be given to our municipal corporation. Would that be appropriate, Mr. Sharma?
See, this will be like taking it to the very stringent, or compliance will be may become very difficult for doing that. But to start with, we can, as a consumer, insist for buying ISI marked products from the shops. But for the shop to make it mandatory to display that only ISI marked goods will be available, that will be slightly difficult. As a lawyer, I know you will understand that will be very difficult to implement that, because there are so many shops, many of them are unorganized. To have this kind of a quality control order will be literally very difficult. And all the items are also not covered, and our licenses, we have a proper system of giving a certification after the process of conformity assessment has been done. We give a license to the particular product to the particular manufacturer at his manufacturing location. There he is authorized to use the BIS certification mark if it is manufactured in that product, in that premises, and that product complies to the requirements of the standard. But a shopkeeper will sell products manufactured at multiple different locations and different manufacturers. And there may be so many products which may not be having the ISI mark. So that one question will be there to answer.
Mr.
Ideally, we would like to welcome your suggestion and go ahead with that if it is possible at some stage.
Mr. Pillai wanted
a beginning may be made.
Huh?
As a trial, some beginning may be made.
Yeah, I think
yes,
so.
I think we can take that. Mr. Pillai, yes, please.
Sir, it's just a suggestion for you, sir, and happy to help. The unorganized sectors are also becoming organized. I'll give a simple example.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of shops, let's say in a suburb of Mumbai, let's say Mulund. Now, many of them, typical trader mentality, and we, as you rightly pointed out, सबसे सस्ता दे दो. तो 20 रुपया है, 25 रुपया ठीक है, but Chinese product 3 रुपये में मिल रहा है. So there's a cultural issue that I think Gopa pointed out. But I would say that one of the good part of today's generation is that we can get the informal sectors be addressed. For example, in Mulund we have this Vyapari Sangha. Maybe we can do a local language awareness for them. And I can tell you 1,000 shops I can organize for you in Mulund.
Thank you, Mr. Pillai. I think as a follow-up of this particular social sanchar, we should try that. Yes,
Yeah,
and
I'll just add to
yes,
that.
ma'am.
Actually, in many cases, what happens is the shopkeeper himself is not aware that the product which he has taken from the manufacturer is not the correct product. I'll give you one example. I was posted in Bhopal, and for quite a few years, about 20 years, I was in Bhopal office only. So our Bhopal office looks after the certification activities of Madhya Pradesh. And apart from giving licenses to the manufacturers, going to their premises, testing their product, we have another work, that is the enforcement work, where we carry out, we actually do discrete investigation. We send our staff people to the market and they go and see where there are, at the shops, where wrong product is being sold, or wrong ISI mark or spurious ISI mark has been put. So there is a road, Hamidia Road in Bhopal, which is full of electrical shops from here, both sides, electrical and civil, like PVC pipes and all that. So we started conducting raids. And when we started conducting raids, we caught many shopkeepers. We told them, okay, we caught the product. They said, "Hame to pata nahi, we didn't know that this is a spurious product." Then we asked them, you give us the authentication of the manufacturer, give us the receipts, give us the bills. We will catch the manufacturer. We will not penalize you. We will not make you a party. We will catch the manufacturer. They were not able to produce those proper bills also, out the traceability to the manufacturer, because everything is done in a very black sort of thing. So what happened is that we made them the party. We made the shopkeepers the party, and we filed cases against them, because it is there in our act. They were required to appear in the court. The court cases went for several years. They were penalized. So, but when we started conducting raids, after a certain time, everybody in the Hamidia Road knew that this is spurious, this is wrong, this is... After a few years, we carried out so many investigations, we were not able to catch any spurious product. It became so, I mean, they were educated, and after that we were not able to conduct any raid, because nothing was wrong. So they were educated. And likewise in Indore also, there is a market where electrical goods are sold. There also we conducted so many raids, and after a certain time, they also became aware what is correct and what is not correct, and they were keeping the correct product. So by these activities BIS is doing, but then India is a very huge country. It is not really easy to educate everybody and to conduct these type of raids and activities everywhere. So we are on the job, but then it is again up to the consumers, because you people go everywhere. You people buy the products, so it is up to you also.
Yes, I think we will take up Mr. Pillai's suggestion, and we will take this forward with another activity. Yes, that we will. I think there was a question at the back, but we have received some online questions which are live. Is that? Yes. Now, who will take this question, Mr. Kupakumar?
So the question is, feel a policy can be laid down for wires cable manufacturers to statutorily mark recommended replacement date over time brittleness develops. Statutory marking is already being done in case of automotive tires. So any kind of, for wires and devices, any kind of expiry date. You would like to answer, sir? But yeah.
See, actually life of wire depends on the heat to which we expose the wire. The more the heat we expose to, the lesser the life, because insulation deteriorates as per the intensity of heat. If there is no proper thermal management, the life will not live 30 years, you cannot guarantee. So basically it is the electrical maintenance part and the electrical design part, how you design installation so that the heat generated when it's being used, so it is properly managed. So it remains within limit. Every wire, maximum heat on which the wires are designed is 70 degrees centigrade. And if you exceed that, certainly the wire is going to die after some time. The most important part which we are given in the National Electrical Code, we have given the minimum sizes of wire So as per that, if you use the wires of that size, there will be minimum dissipation of heat. And if, as per the new regulation, as I already said, so this has now become mandatory. I would like to tell you, even 80% of the buildings which are happening, the wire sizes are being used are substandard, I mean of lower sizes. So that is a very great mistake which was happening till date. Now I hope to improve these things here henceforth. And one more thing is there, that there are different classes of wire insulation also. Those are low smoke wires, halogen-free wires, which produce less smoke and toxicity, even if the wire burns. So as per new code, these wires have also been made mandatory in which type of installation class is to be used.
Codes and standards are in place, but we should follow it properly. This is the important subject. So, any further questions? Okay. Are Mumbai and India looking at the strengthening electric audits and include parameters to check the type of wires used and which wires are the best? Actually, in an installation, if it is already wired, then you cannot open and dig out all the things. It's very difficult. So, and in some of the application, once when you switch on, you have no chance. You cannot switch it off. Example, in a hospital or in some critical application, you forget switching off an appliance. You cannot do it. So, it's very, very important that at the beginning itself you make a very good installation. Don't compromise on the size of the wires. For example, if a properly sized wire is used, properly sized in the sense as per the standard derating factors are properly applied, easily your electrical installation get 40 years life. For example, in Belgium, for example, for residential purposes, there is a rechecking. And the periodic verification recommended time is 25 years. So, day one you make a Paka installation, then you make it after 25 years. That means your life is at least 50 years. So, you know, the life is actually much more if we do it properly. But here the question is, we use derated or undersized products, which is actually a problem. So, any further questions?
Yes, oh.
So the question is, given poor materials are main cause of electrical fire, can India and Mumbai also look at encouraging use of safer materials in electrical wires to strengthen fire safety strategies? Can we look creating ranking indexing infrastructure or states based on the use of safe material in wires and electrical installation? Saliji, you would like to answer this? Because he was working with RERA.
Electrical regulations are made by Central Electricity Authority. Those are monitored by the State Electrical Inspectorate Wing. One more regulating authority is the urban development departments, and municipal corporations. They have their own development control regulations, and in those regulations also there are some mandates given in respect of installations. They just fail to follow the National Building Code. In National Building Code, Part 8, there some guidances have been given in Section 2 about electrical installations. But if you see the checklists of those required parameters, those are absent, totally absent in the checklist of the development control regulations. So these checklists needs to be revised, and if we revise those checklists, some improvement we certainly expect to happen, because the completion certificate and occupation certificate comes in the purview of local bodies. If they give the occupation certificate checking that all electrical installations are also safe, so I think that will assure some kind of electrical safety to the occupants of that building.
I think Mr. Warwick may want to add a few things, because I know that is the fire, but ultimately you do face the music when we do the wrong thing.
See, as I have told you, means it is holistically we have to look at the problem, right from the developer, from the planning stage, then designing, then actual implementation, and till the life cycle of that entire building. Periodical audits, the provision is already made in the law itself. Now we have to have the periodical electrical audits to be carried out so that we can ensure whatever additional loads, whatever come up in the building, that has been taken care of, or wiring or maybe instrumentation, transformers or other gadgets are there. So whether they are in good working conditions or so, this continuous monitoring system is the only solution, and awareness about the basic safety, maybe fire safety, electrical safety or gas safety. We have PNG pipelines, LPG used in the houses, then electrical appliances are there in the kitchen, different gadgets we use. So for the sake of all safety, one should be aware about, and now due to Google Baba, everything is available on your fingertips. You can search and you can go through 1-2 sites and you will come to know what are the standards are there or what are the laws are there. So they will immediately pop up. So we are aware about it, but implementation is a major problem what we see. We depend upon, as a fire department, we depend upon certification. If we call any electrician in your home, we don't check his background. He is electrician, somebody told you, we believe in that. But whether he is really gone into ITI, he has got certification, and whether he is authorized to do that, it is a real challenge. And whosoever is coming up, he fiddles with the fuses and all that, and light on ho gaya na, that's it. We don't cross check. So that is the problem. So we have to really go to the grassroots level and check whatever he has done, whether it is as per the code or as per the standard, then only we can see that we can make the building more safer. Thank you.
Sir, I have one more question to you. Actually, with great difficulty, the National Electrical Code has been published in January this 2023. And June 8th of 2023, a month back, the Central Electricity Authority has published the new regulation, which is actually now the rule. And earlier the rule was saying National Electrical Code was a recommendation. Now it has become a mandatory requirement. That means it has to comply. Is it possible in the fire department, whatever the approvals, is it possible to ask one additional information that produce the test report as per, let's say for example, a new building, or somebody is coming for a renewal of license. Produce the test report as per National Electrical Code, one line. I would say if this question is asked and if builders are able to produce this result, this can make a big change. Is it possible really? Because now anyway the electricity regulation, it is included, but with respect to your...
I would pass on this question to Mr. Sali, because when Mr. Praveen Pardeshi was a chairperson of the committee constituted for make amendments in the development control rules of Maharashtra, and specifically in Mumbai, considering high-rise building and threat due to the natural and man-made disasters, during that we have discussed with various stakeholders about this, and same question was surfaced. And Mr. Sali was instrumental to provide all the checklist required right from the planning stage, designing stage, implementation stage, everywhere check, cross-check, and self-certification. Due to ease of doing business, now we don't want to go into that red carpet era again, and we have to depend upon the self-certification. And as a fire authority, we have stopped all our renewals also. We take only Form B from the license agencies which we have registered under a Fire Act, and that certification is sufficient enough for us. You have to submit that Form B. That is the only requirement what we take. As there are n number of parameters what we consider while giving final OC. Maybe the lift, maybe the electricity, maybe HVAC, plumbing, everything is considered from the municipal corporation side. But real thing is, who are the installers and the regulators? Because we have very handful people to regulate such kind of activity. So that says self-certification and certificate through the body. If that body is created, then we will be in a position to address this. Mr. Sali would be in a better position to address it.
Yeah, we had so many meetings regarding this, And I have given number of suggestions to the committee what should be adopted. One thing I can tell you, we cannot expect the fire personnel to know the all electrical technical details, but only few things may be added, that one sort of certification which could be added, which I had suggested, which has not been taken up, but I think that at least one certificate, if they ask for while giving NOC, I think that will help to certain extent. In other states also I am working with the different fire departments, in Gujarat also, in Tamil Nadu also. I have a meeting 2 days after in West Bengal also with fire authorities, and there also we have given suggestions that at least one certificate they should make it mandatory. That certificate should be given by the concerned electrical person who is having electrical knowledge and who has carried out the work or tested the electrical installation. That certificate, just collecting it and confirming that certificate has been received, I think that to certain extent will make some difference. Because all the provisions, if you see, related to fire are curative type, means after the fire begins, then saving the lives and saving the property, I mean mitigating the chances of aggravation of fire. So those things are included, but initiation of fire, those things are missing. I think if one certificate could be added in their checklist, I think that will help a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Sali. I think I'll take this opportunity. I know that we are joined by the senior most engineers of our Taj group of hotels in Mumbai. I can see them. Thank you for being with us. From the industry side, it's a hospitality side where you are responsible for the lives of all your guests and, of course, the staff. Do you have any questions to the panel? Because I'm sure you do. You are being very polite and keeping quiet. I can see that you're sitting at the back. Any questions from your side, please? The mic may be please sent to the corner. I'm actually very delighted that all the Taj properties, all the Taj hotels in Mumbai are represented here through their engineering side. What did you say, Mr. Pillai? Taj Mahal Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very proud to say I come from that fraternity many decades ago. Yes, please, the question over there. Please give the mic. There? Yes, please.
We don't have any question. Thank you.
Huh? I can't hear. We can't hear. Please have the mic up.
No questions for right now.
You're being okay. Then I know where to get the questions from.
Madam, if you allow me, I have one point to suggest. I have one question, in fact, and the question is to Krish. Krish, can you explain how this self-certification or certification of electrical installation works in UK?
Sure. So, like Mr. Varik said, self-certification really is the way to go. So, the way in the UK it works is, like Mr. Sali mentioned, there are forms. So, and there are 3 signatures for design, for construction, and for testing. So, the way self-certification works is people have to sit through training. There's an exam and a test conducted. Usually about traditionally 40 hours of exams on practical exams is what's required to become an electrician in the UK. Then theory is taken. You have separate electrical design exams, separate electrical testing exams, so on and so forth. Then you are then certified as an electrical electrician or an electrical designer or electrical tester. Then every year you are audited on this. So it's not possible for us as a society to audit every installation externally, but we can conduct external auditing of the people that are designing and testing the installations. So let's say I'm an electrician in the UK, every year I have to bring somebody from it's called a competent person scheme, on site with me, show them an electrical installation, show them the kind of work I'm doing, and then only then if I pass my assessment, am I then allowed to continue that certification scheme for another year. And when I sign that certificate, I am literally saying that this is my responsibility. It is my responsibility that this installation meets this standard, and if it does not, I am opening myself up to prosecution and penalties. So that's the way self-certification
I think that is a declaration which Chris has just now told you. The person who gives the certification or undertaking, it tells that I am responsible for the installation I have carried out. I have done it as per the standards and norms and everything, and I will be responsible for that. So these words are very important. That decides the accountability which is missing at present in India.
Possibility of it being taken forward, I hope?
This suggestion we already have given.
It is there in the standard. The signatures are already there in the standard.
No, this suggestion we have given to the committee which I worked with Mr. Vari.
Well, if it is there in the standards, Mr. Sharma, can we make this more public? Because if people know, especially the housing societies, knowing this, the managing committee, perhaps it can be taken forward at that level?
See, the basic purpose of standards is to provide the best practices. We have made the best practices available and known to the public. Now, whether it has to be brought under mandatory is for the government to decide. The standards provide the best practices that they have to be followed. They need to be followed if you want to make the electrical installation safe. But whether the standard is to be brought under mandatory certification or mandatory compliance, that call needs to be taken by the government.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Then taking on from there, if I may, if you will indulge me to take this to the logical thing, I have on my right, I must say that this is quite interesting. To my right, I have all the senior most government officers, retired or in office. To my left, very extreme, but it's very interesting combination. So may I ask Mr. Ranganathan and Mr. Jain, is it a possibility that what has just been said, that in the housing societies, could such a thing be made where the BIS standards are there, that perhaps we give that, that little bit of leeway to the managing committees to take that forward, something like that? Could we start with at least? What do you say?
Yeah, I think my answer is yes. And one of the strong message which is coming out from today's panel discussion is awareness among the people, among the citizens, among the consumers. What the standards are, what products are standard, and so on. Now, typically in Mumbai, we have a concept of housing societies. Most of the properties are organized as cooperative housing societies or condominium. So the message can definitely go very effectively through the cooperative societies, and they have the powers also under the cooperative law. So they can be there to enforce those standards also in a way. Though it's at times very challenging, because at times the members of the cooperative societies are most uncooperative. That's a different thing. But yes, to begin with, that's a legal framework available.
I think Mr. Jain, post this social sanchar, I think we have a work cut out. So I think this is one vertical we should look at, how to structure this so that we can make, as we make the CARE app and other BIS issues public, we take this issue a lot more seriously, and perhaps with the department also, so that it goes to every housing society. Yes, ma'am, you have a question. Yes.
I am a student, but I have two questions. These are generally tiny issue for all of the household people, but it can cause a major problem. Like we are talking currently about the electrical appliances and the correct norms of it and which should we use. But most of the times during the rainy season, when there is a problem of voltage in our houses, so generally we are being told like, okay, turn off the TV, turn off the fridge, and only the mixer will work, or only a selective current electrical appliances will work. But is using electrical appliances on low voltage correct? Because our set-top box needs 225 volts. I am not accurate at the currently, but volts. But then it is a general decision by the people itself. The member of the house, okay, turn off the these appliances and use only these appliances, or let the mobile be kept on charging. And secondly, I won't name, but for preparation of a competitive examination, I was staying in a hostel. So there also we were instructed that there is low voltage, so don't use the fan above the power 1 or 2. Keep it to the power 2. Is these such things, people should be aware about these small things also. Like, that was my request.
Yes, please, Mr. Kopakumar.
Yeah. You see, this is a subject actually not related to the consumer. Now there is a rule also in India, Act passed in the Parliament. I think Consumers Protection Act or something like, which has come recently. The DISCOM is supposed to give continuous power within the tolerable limit continuously. If there is a cut, then consumers can penalize them. Those things are there, but These are quite new information. Actually, to the low voltage, which is coming in residential residences during rainy season, this is a problem which has to be handled by the DISCOM, distribution company. When it comes to the DISCOM, actually we have to discuss much more things. They are the ones sometimes not following most of the regulations made by the government of India and making our homes much more unsafe. Example, you can see in newspaper, transformer, something happened and all the appliances in the connected houses destroyed. 20 houses, all refrigerator exploded, some equipment exploded. This should not happen. If you follow the standards properly, this should not happen, and this cannot happen. If the DISCOM is not following their rules and regulations, then of course all chances are there. Actually, this is a subject which we need to discuss further on a larger
Actually,
scale.
now we have crossed 6 o'clock, so our time is also up. However, yes, I can see a hand going up. I think that we'll stick to that being the last question. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, so I'm from the Taj Hotels group representing my engineering team. So what Chris just told about the electrical person licensing being done in UK, probably I think in India the wireman license or the supervisory license that is given to an electrician is a one-time license. Once it is given, then I think he can carry that license till 60 or whatever, and there is also misuse of the license that is happening. So are we planning or thinking to do something like what even the European nations are doing? That are we going to bring down this license from a lifetime achievement to them to a validation of 2 years or 5 years, and then again after 5 years they have to appear for the test and they have to prove that they are only using their license with a valid propaganda, and are they still enough skill set enough to continue with the next validation of the license? Are we thinking something on this?
May I answer this, madam?
Yes,
Actually,
please.
in most of the European or American developed nations, this is not made by the government. There is a certification scheme based on the ISO standard. The National Accreditation Agency accredit or certifies a scheme owned by somebody. Let's say, for example, in UK, the Electrical Contractors Association, they have a scheme. They define who is a contractor, what is his qualification, what is his skill set, how his skill set is checked. Then this qualification and the skill set is verified annually. In NFE, unfortunately in India, that kind of a scheme is not existing until now. Now in NFE, we started making the paperwork, because it's a big job, because we have to first define who is he, what is his qualification, what is his skill, how to check the skill, how to verify periodically. We have started the document. Most probably the first draft of the documents will be published next week by Wednesday or Thursday in our website for public comments. It's a public document. Actually, it is not made by our association. It's a public document. All the public should, you can make comments, and we will make it, we are trying to bring it as a public document. Now, who will certify? The certification will be done by some companies like, the ISO certifying companies, TUV, BBQI, they will do the certification. So, slowly we are trying to make up this culture. It may take an year or more, but we are on the track. Thanks for the question.
I think we will close the interaction for now, but that doesn't mean the interaction actually gets frozen. I would, Mr. Ranganathan, I'll just complete the sentence.
I think one issue which has to be highlighted is that there are various courses for training people in electrical work, starting from vocational training institutes, polytechnics, engineering college. Can ISI or some organization look at the syllabus of the training of these courses, whether all these things are included in that standards? Because ultimately these are the people who do the work. And once these are incorporated in the standards and made a part of the teaching process in the, whether it is in BTI or polytechnic or engineering college, and teachers are taught about it, I think basic improvement may not take place.
So I think we have quite a bit to do post our session. I was just going to say that our number is with all of you, and please feel free. What happened? Please feel free to send in your question. to the same number that is mentioned in the invitation, and we will collate all the questions and send it to our speakers. I will definitely pass it on to Mr. Gopakumar and to Mr. Sharma so that it can be disseminated, and we will come out with certain publications in specific time frame, and that should be short. Do we take it that Mr. Sharma, we could proceed in that, and Mr. Gopakumar?
Sir, the previous question. Colleges, engineering or education system based on some, also some standards.
That is definitely a very good idea. We are, actually we have, yeah.
Very good evening to one and all. My name is T. Arjun. I am a scientist and deputy director in Mumbai branch office 2. I am BIS. We are conducting standard clubs initiatives in all the schools, polytechnic colleges, engineering colleges since 1 year. Till now, more than 5,500 clubs are already formed. They are getting exposure to industries. Like sir said, industries needs, in order to bridge the gap between industry needs and student skills. So, usme se in that there 3 to 4 competitions will be there, standard writing competition, quiz competitions, like that. They will be cherished. Today also we conducted one exposure visit from Mira Road to Mumbai. They came to our office, Mumbai Andheri office. They have visited. They came to know all the activities of BAS, how gold is, hallmarking is activities, how they are testing, along with other products like electrical, mechanical, civil, packaged drinking water, like that. Also, I have met personally, ma'am, the Mumbai District Cooperative Housing Federation Limited. It is very near from this place.
Yes.
Mr. Advocate D.S. Vader, a few months back, we have requested them for conducting consumer awareness in residential societies.
Actually, when you say this, the invitation had been sent to them.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think where elections are concerned, for example, with the Election Commission, since we are a CSO partner of through CEO Maharashtra, so we have done work with them. So I think we can collate in the same way, so that there is no duplication of work. Otherwise, the societies and everyone will get a bit confused. So we can put it together, and the federation could be the conduit to send it out.
Yes, ma'am.
We can definitely work on that. Thank you so much for bringing this. And that brings me to, I think the Student Council of Jai Hind College is present here. Johan, right? Johan can propose that you know, there is a scheme, if I'm not mistaken, of the students'
Standards Club.
Standards Club. So will you please initiate a Standards Club with Jai Hind College being a college partner on this platform? I think that's your takeaway and a commitment. Please convey that to your college, and I will also speak to your principal. Take it up. Let there be a Standards Club as a takeaway from here. And once you have formed it, you then need to take it forward to all the other colleges, since you take it to other colleges, right? And get as many colleges to have the Standards Club. I think that's one thing we can definitely do. Thank you, Johan. Okay, I will need to close the session. We are definitely past our time, but I think there is so much to learn, so much to take forward that we could have a longer session, but I think we will call it a halt now. And do send in your questions, lots of things to do, and I'm absolutely delighted to have all of you here. Media, I don't know who is here or not, but everyone is a consumer end of the day, no matter which profession we are in. So our Suraksha, Atma Suraksha is the way, and ATMANIRBHAR Suraksha is the only way. So I think on that note, we will close the session. I now have the happy task of sharing our appreciation to our panelists and to some of you. And I would request you to stay back, post our official photographs for some light refreshments. May I have Aditi, please? Mr. Ajit Kumar Jain, please. Mr. Ranganathan, may I request you to, on behalf of all of us, to give a small token of appreciation. Please come. Mr. Jain. Take out there, not on the box. My great pleasure to, on all our behalf, to give a small token of appreciation to you, Mr. Sharma. Thank you so much. May I request Captain Saurabh Kapadia to please hand over our token of appreciation to Mr. Warwick. May I invite Captain Ashok Malkani, trustee of We Citizen Action Network, to hand over the appreciation memento to Mr. Gopakumar. May I now invite Mr. Rajan Jayakar, trustee of WeCan, to hand over the memento to Mr. Sully. No, wait a minute. Thank you so much, ma'am, Mrs. Bhatnagar, for being with us all the way from Delhi. We have a small token of appreciation for your support to this cause. Ms. Preeti Bhatnagar, please. Mr. Ranganathan, may I request you to please hand over to Ms. Preeti Bhatnagar. Mr. Vaswani, may I request you to please, on all our behalf, hand over our token of appreciation to Mr. Ritvik Anand, please. Start. May I have the plug, please? Mr. Pai. May I request Mr. Pai, it is my pleasure to hand over a small token of appreciation, and we look to one more. Yes, and may I invite where's Mr. More? Yes. And to you, Mr. More. Thank you so much. Shavishkar. We now have the pleasure of having the C20, is that right? Mr. Pai, would you do the honors? Yes, please, thank you.
So I'm just handing out the C20 flags to all the dignitaries on the dais, starting with Mrs. Malpan.
The official photo, may I request the trustees of weekend to please come forward? Mr. More, Mr. Pai, please come. Let us take the official photo. I believe Mr. Chedha is also here. Hello, Bhupin Bhai. I mean, normally for such programs, we hardly ever see the builder side. So now, thank you so much, Mr. Chedha, for being here. Mr. Pai, I must share with you that Mr. Chedha is the builder of Chedha Nagar. And when I mentioned the cause that we are starting on C20 platform with this ATMANIRBHAR SURAKSHA, so he said that such a cause must be taken up by us as well. So I think when we have the builders lobby also being part of this, I'm fairly certain we are on the right track. Thank you so much, Mr. Chedha, for being here with us. Mr. Vaswani, will you join us, please? Mrs. Bhatnagar? I don't know how many will come. Mr. Anand, please come.